am so grateful that I have the opportunity
Okay.
to come in live with you. And it's a very unique situation because this time around, we gotta say the fact that we'll be speaking about COVID 19, what it's actually doing. Most people know it as coronavirus. What it's doing is really showing the state of the United States healthcare, and it is so nice to actually see these things happening. Now, we don't rejoice on the people who are not feeling well and the people who have passed, but it only really shows you how our healthcare system actually really looks like. So I am glad that you took the time out of your busy schedule to really invite me for our audience to really know the information that can really make a difference. Thank you very much, CJ.
You are so welcome. You have been doing this for over 10 years, if not 15. I don't want to give away your age.
Well, I'm so
And we
happy.
always, at you, is it 15 years?
It's actually 20.
Well,
Yeah.
it's, then I am so sorry.
No,
You always emphasize on how important it is for people to boost the immune system. And I remember the first time we spoke about what you do, you talk about toxicity
yes.
and you talk about acidity. And most people are not paying attention to those kind of things when they are, well, I guess before COVID-19, when they were going about their daily lives. And now more than ever, we realize that since more than 8 weeks into this crisis, this pandemic, eventually we'll have to come back, and to having a social life, come back to your work, come back to business. And I think most of the people whose immune systems are not strong are the one who fear the reopening of the business. And should I not say that are strong? I should mostly say, especially the people who are compromised, whose immune systems are compromised.
Yes.
So tell us about the understanding of what's happening right now and what should be happening in somebody's mind when it comes to their health and how they're dealing with the situation,
Well,
the aftermath of COVID.
I am so happy you're mentioning that. And most people do not understand what health is. And the first problem has always been in our food, the stress that we're dealing with, the everyday hustle and bustle. So we know that every day we have access to what we call it's like you want to really take antioxidant because oxidative stress, it's really there upon our body. So for people who are actually consuming a lot of dead food, when I'm saying dead food is like a lot of cooked food and not eating raw, like a percentage of raw food that allows your body to be alkaline. What it really does, and all those GMO food, genetic modified food, all these things, what they do, they raise the level of acidity in the body that gets the body away from alkalinity, which is how God literally intended it to be. So when people are thinking about going back, the main thing that they don't want is that people are hearing people that they perceive that was healthy are dying, and they're like, hold on a second, that person was a healthy person. So it's not only people who are already immunocompromised who are going. And there's two things about that. There is the COVID-19, the propaganda in COVID-19, exactly the disease. Okay. And how we look at it is that since back in October, our source told us it's a new flu like symptoms. So we've been saying that, and there's going to be more than 50,000. And that was the prediction. And what we got is that we saw that, finally it got a name, and the name was COVID-19 or coronavirus. Now, the biggest thing that most people don't understand is that once you get hit by that, now let's talk about the propaganda. Fear is not from God because fear is false evidence appearing real. So most people who are afraid of what it's happening, so when they get hit, sometimes people who are even healthy, the very stress nature of it, or even the fear of it, we're the only species that can actually die, cause ourselves to die, because we have that much level of stress or fear, that the minute we get hit, the minute we get hit, all we think about, oh my Lord, I'm gonna die. And
Mhm.
one thing that happens is that you will have what you say. These are biblical laws. If that's what you're confessing out of your mouth, you have no other hope, no other means for your cells to fight for you. And it becomes your affirmation, it becomes your reality. So there are some people who were healthy, and they pass on regardless because of the fear of it. Now, let's talk about the people who are already compromised. Yes, the people who are compromised, what it does, it makes them feel that they got hit even by a big Mack truck, and they'll feel there's no turning back. So that's why sometimes when you hear that, it really reinforces the state of our health as a great nation, and how some of our policies should be different. But think about it this way: our food is so available, and there's supplements everywhere, and nobody really knows which one that's of a high quality. So most people say, you know what, I'll get around to it until something happens. So that's why this is giving a chance for people who are representing natural medicine, preventative care, to really rise up and speak up. These are the things we've been talking about. So I don't know if I answered your question. I'm just so passionate about this. I can talk for like 5 hours straight about this.
I'm very passionate about what you're saying, and I like the way that you have divided the people who are being led by fear, and we know how fear will also decrease your immune system,
Yes,
fear, anxiety, the lack of sleep. Because if people are sitting here in front of the television, always watching the news, and oh my God, what's coming next? They say 2 weeks, then it's 4 weeks, then it's 8 weeks, and it's going to become 10 weeks, and we don't have no vaccine, and these vaccines have killed us, and the ventilators are killing us. So this also will compromise your health, wouldn't it?
definitely. Well, yeah, because when the human is operating with no hope, automatically the evidence is that I'm going to die, because our brain is geared, the very first thing that the brain is geared to do is to keep us safe. So that's the reflex, that the normal reflex. Now, I mean, I don't want to spoil the show, but here's what I have most of my patients do. And I've sent over like 50,000 texts, 50,000 robocalls. I mean, I've sent every message known to man. I mean, social media. And here's a very simple thing I have people do: one cap full of apple cider vinegar in 16 ounce of water, and put a little bit of honey if you want to. Now, if the person does it 2 to 3 times, especially if you're in contact with people, that's a great thing. Now, if you're already coughing, you may have to take this up to 9 times. But then again, you want to consult a healthcare practitioner to know which one that's actually best for you. Because there's other things people can actually do to really raise their immune system.
But you're talking about somebody who was already healthy, or who thought that they were healthy, like they're not dealing with any complication like diabetes and asthma and any kind of other conditions.
Yes, if they don't already have those other existing condition that already makes it hard for it to happen, what we've noticed is that when the person is taking that, let's say for instance, I got a call from somebody from New York. One of our people referred us. He was not able to smell anything. He was not able to taste anything. He was tested positive.
Hmm.
We had him do 9 times a day. Within 3 days, he starts smelling and testing and tasting. And then we had him keep on
This
going.
is one of
Yeah, well, that's what he's in New York. We just had him do that. And then when he went back to test, they asked him, what did he do? And what it was is that his body got so alkaline within those days, because He couldn't afford anything because, whenever everything's shutting down,
How
jobs
much?
shutting down, they had to turn to natural medicine.
So I was going to say that most of us cannot afford anything, but here's the thing that caught my attention is that you said he couldn't smell anything, nor could he taste anything, and those are not part of the propaganda of what the symptoms are. Is it?
No, it's not part of the propaganda. What it is, here's the main thing about disease. Okay, people are focusing about symptoms. Uh, there's a doctor by the name of Raymond Francis. He said there is one disease, two causes: toxicity and deficiency. So whenever you have toxicity and deficiency, there are certain things that's gonna show up. Now, the reason why a lot of people were not having certain symptoms but still being positive for COVID-19 is because, even at the beginning of all this stuff, I have friends who are on the front line. They said they have no information for us. It took 3 to 4 weeks before the hospitals start putting protocols together so that they can prepare their nurses, their doctors to really know how to deal with it. They had huddles, but it took them forever to really do it. And that shows you how much so many people were not in the loop of it. So as a result, a lot of them, they start compiling information as they were going along, and that's the deficiency of not wanting to get into governmental stuff, but that's deficiency when leadership is not present, because a bunch of hospitals didn't know what to do. They didn't even know what to tell their nurses until people start getting infected and dying. That's when radical movement had to be put in place, and it really pains me because imagine you're there to help out, but yet your leadership, literally, when they said they didn't know, and I'm talking about physician that I was talking to, they said they don't know what to do. They do not know what to do.
I feel as though there were a few people personally that I knew who were sick in December, who had pneumonia, who had fevers, and they actually, I don't think they knew that they had it. They
Exactly.
had the disease at that time. Only in March when they started talking about the symptoms that they could think back and said, well, and I don't know, maybe they got better care because there was not that frenzy,
Well,
because we were not dealing with a pandemic. I'm thinking.
CJ, here's the biggest problem about this country, okay? And this is a country I love. I've spent the last 25 plus years in the country, and I love it. I asked my mom to come here because I knew there's bigger and great things a person can do. Yes, you can achieve all your dream. What really, really is a problem is that a lot of times people who even have Caribbean background are buying into the Western way of thinking of disease. If you're waiting for symptoms to think that you are dealing with something, then you're already done, because everybody, their body reacts differently to disease, to conditions. There are some people who are not into eating, let's say, rice and beans and certain things, but they eat food like yam, banana, plantain, and all those stuff. You know, and when they take these type of things, their body react differently when they come across disease. So whenever people are really waiting on a symptom to decide whether they're sick or not, there's a problem. Now, here's the thing. I don't want to be the doomsday guy, right? In my literature, my folks said um, the expected is supposed to be half of the United States that's supposed to be infected. It will get to a point it's going to be 4 million a day that will be infected. More than 50,000, we already know because this show is happening after the fact. But people who follow me on social media, on the radio shows that I do, they know I've been showing the literature. And people are seeing that. So what it is that more than 50,000 will die. Half of the population, we're talking about, basically, we're about 325 million. Half of that is going to be affected. So even in the literature, it says that over 100 million hours is going to be lost, and lost wages That's what's going to happen, and it's in the billions, if not the trillions. These are the things that were expected. Now, I'm saying, if a natural doctor like my source, okay, my mentor, can predict that based upon what they knew that was coming or what was there, how about the other guys that represent a higher level of authority? So it really gets us into the questioning. And that's why what I rather do, instead of really get into that, is really rather supply people with information, such as, let me give you an example. People are consuming carrot, grapefruit, beets, like beetroots, and ginger. This is considered as an immune booster. So imagine people are committed to actually have that be done twice a day to three times a day. What it's actually doing for them is giving them an opportunity to raise the vibration of their health, and will give them access to better health. Now, what I'm saying is that that's an example, but there's so many ways. It's kind of like we say, many roads lead to Rome.
Mhm. So, so somebody who's listening to us, especially somebody from the island, basically, we would suggest that they go back to their roots, meaning when you're eating your yam and you eating your beets, you make sure that you have plenty of ginger in your diet. And I know not only as far as the show and the education that you're giving, just like you said, you place over 100,000 calls and texts. You usually will give them a way of juicing, or you would suggest something that they could take to boost their immune system. You
Yes.
know, and that is something that they should be doing prior to them, just like you say, feeling ill, feeling any kind of symptoms, because your body is, even if you want to think of it as a machine, you need to oil it from time to time.
Exactly. Well, if we look at the body, it's kind of like the mechanic. There are people who own like very expensive cars, and they're having to do tune up that cost them anywhere between 200 and 400. Do you think they're spending that on their health? Not likely. Not everybody. Now, here's the next part of something that is very important. I did not want to forget when we talk about that, the amount of people who are actually dealing with this. The reason why testing is important is that once we do testing, it will reveal people who are fine. Like, I was speaking to my coach today. He said, I couldn't smell, I couldn't taste, and I was feeling so bad. I just took a couple days off. But my wife did ginger, ginger. I almost said lye, which is garlic, turmeric, and he also mentioned lemon, and also he mentioned there's something else that he mentioned, which is cloves. And he was saying, was that good? I said, yeah, that was actually a good choice. The only thing we say is that manage the proportion of it, because a lot of times people put a bunch of stuff together and it cancel each other out. So you want to limit it to 2 to 3, and then you rotate that, and minimum 2 to 3 times a day is considered treatment. But if you do it once a day, it's more like a maintenance dose. So a lot of times people don't know the measures. So get that. Testing is going to reveal the amount of people that's already affected. And often when we thinking about that, there's a true scare. Like, there are like people who are more likely in their 60s. They don't want to get out there because they have misinformation about what exactly it is. So people want to err in the side of safety. They rather be safe than sorry. So they're having to put masks, different things, triple masks, almost even suffocating, because they're not getting oxygen. But guess what? As a salesperson, it's important for me to look at the flip side of it. There's a lot of people that were home sitting, didn't have any job to do. Now they pull out their what? Their sewing machine. They're sewing masks like crazy. They're providing, I mean, that's how you see the true entrepreneurship, that even when there's an issue, there's a danger. Us as people of God, we actually rise up to the challenge. So at the end of the day, this also shall pass. We'll adapt, And if it took COVID-19 for people to start taking their health seriously, praise God.
That is correct. And while you are at it, can you, besides the fact that I said you need to check on your diet, you need to have, for the people who are eating meat, they need to have a low-fat diet, they need to sleep. Can you give us some plant-based food that could help somebody's immune system? Uh, and we also, I would also tell them that they need to keep in mind, just like you mentioned it, it's not because we say garlic and turmeric and and ginger that you could just decide to just go blend all of them at once. Because,
Yeah.
like you said, they could not match. You know, they could have counter effects. It has to do with the medicine that you're doing, and not all of them could mix. So we're gonna repeat again. So they need to take vitamin, minerals, and antioxidants.
Yes.
Um, and what vitamin D, vitamin C, vitamin E.
Yes, the most simple stuff.
I feel like I'm a good student and I already know.
Yeah, well, here's the beauty about it. These things are essential. They're part of what we call the 93 essential nutrients that our body needs. Like literally 60 minerals. All these things are important, which mineral zinc is in it. So a lot of times people are really talking about this. Let me tell you this. A lot of people, they were ignorant about the fact that we at an age, as the Bible says, knowledge shall increase. Guess what? Knowledge has increased. And here's how knowledge has increased. You're looking at people who are on YouTube, looking up here, looking up there. What I'm most proud of is all my natural folks who are raising up, stepping up, really educating the people on how to get things done. We made a big appeal to a lot of our first responders, their families. We give them specials. We did everything we could under the sun to keep them going. I had one of my friend that works in a hospital. She was coughing for 3 weeks, and I'm like, "Nah, we gotta put you normal." She couldn't do the apple cider vinegar up to 9 times, so we put them on some tablets, apple cider vinegar tablets. We did what we need to do to raise that up. We had people working at Walmart who were having the coughing, the fever. We got this knocked out right away. Now, the biggest thing that was happening is that a lot of people were trusting leadership to get the info. You see, the people of the good book, the information we get it from within. One of the things most people do, they don't trust their intuition, that gut feeling. This is something that our creator gave to us so that we can know what to do. Now, if I were to start talking about herbs, there's so many herbs that have all the nutrients that can really help out. One of the things that I love to use as a powerful immune system is blue-green algae. Most people may know them under the name of spirulina. Some may know chlorella. All these things, they have powerful opportunity in their body. Oxygen. One of the things people don't even get. Oxygen is very important. That's where breathing, taking enough fluids is important. Eating things like broccoli, cabbage, watercress, Chinese cabbage, turmeric is important. Rosemary, carrot, tomato. These are things that really help a whole lot. Bioflavonoid, citrus fruits. These are things that is known. We talked about garlic already. Another thing that's important, zinc, B. propolis, echinacea, pardiaco, golden seal. There is so many things that's available. Peppermint, cloves. Now, you think about what we're talking about. Most of our people already have that available in their kitchen. It's not a mistake. It's like in their kitchen. So when you think about that, there are people that know how to handle certain things. I really want to say that a lot of people who have my condolence and sympathy. So all the people who have passed on. It's really sad that it happens that way. We know in all their sacrifice to commemorate and celebrate their lives, what we are committing to do is really educate beyond imagination. Be a stand for education, be a stand to really share the knowledge. And that's what's giving us the fuel to actually do this. It's not about the funding. The funding comes after, but see the people first.
We're gonna take a quick break. We are talking to Max Scotty about the COVID-19, the precaution, and when we come back, we're gonna talk a little about the hypoxia and what the first responders are complaining about having to wear their masks for a long time, and we're gonna talk about his role as a sales manager slash director with the Haitian Chamber of Commerce. Stay tuned. Hold on.
All right. Okay, for all my folks who are connected right now, we're doing a show live right now with the Haitian Chamber of Commerce. And for all my folks that always needed something in English, we're actually giving that right now. For people who probably have issues with headaches, you want to take cabbage, broccoli, orange, apple, smooth skin. You want your skin to be smooth. Carrots, apple, ginger. People who have hangovers.
We are listening to the Global
All right,
Business
let's
Talk
go back
Show.
in.
It is always a pleasure to be with you, informing this community, sharing our experiences and what we know about what's going on in the business world as well as the community life.
Nice.
Max, earlier you were talking about lack of oxygen. And from my research, I know about this big word. It's a small word, but to me it's a big word, which is hypoxia, which is a condition in which your body is deprived of adequate oxygen. And earlier when you were talking about people being entrepreneurs and sewing masks and all this, now how does wearing a mask that is not proper or appropriate for 10, 15 hours a day, how does that affect our first-time responders and the people who are obligated to go to work in this during this time?
Well, one of the things that is being reported is that a lot of the people are developing hysteria. They're being confused. Some people are even committing suicide. When a person has seen that much death, you're seeing that much turmoil, and it looks like it's a bad dream that you cannot wake up on. What it automatically does, it affects the person's psyche, their mental health, and it creates and this is the time where our psychologists and psychiatrists should be high up on really assisting these individuals, because they're seeing people that they've worked with all their lives pass it on, and they can't figure out what it was. And then there's so much bad news. When we say bad news, we're talking about fake news about this, that. And imagine if the person is a person of faith, every major stuff that's going on, we're hearing the doomsday message. This is the end of the world. You're going to get chipped. So when a person having to deal with all that turmoil, not able to process that, what happens is that the person can actually go into a state of depression real quick. And when a person lacks oxygen, and a lot of these individuals are spending more than the amount of time that they're required at work. So they're being confined. And one of the things that the body needs, light, air, water. You see, there are sound, there are certain things, positive vibration. Our body needs these things to really operate. Imagine there are some people, they're not even able to go near the beach, which is myself. When I'm not feeling right up my head, I got to be by the beach, because that's where my source of rejuvenation. So when you're having all this stuff, the country having to quarantine, there's people, again, what causes this issue? Lack of touch. People are there, they're not able to receive touch because they're afraid that something can be passed on. All these things, they cause panic. So imagine somebody that already have panic attack. That's all it takes. So when the person lack oxygen, guess what? You're depriving the body of the essential stuff that gets it going. Thank you for asking that question.
It really makes me think about a couple of my friends in the healthcare telling me how a lot of older people are really dying because of lack of contact, because they are stuck in a nursing
Oh
home.
yeah.
Their families cannot come to see them, and they die really of chagrin.
Oh yes.
And this morning, as I was talking to somebody about it, and I was thinking, well, this is real.
Well, loneliness has that power. We are creatures of touch. When there are studies that's made upon that, and that's why in my show, and I don't mean to keep on bringing in my show. Um, you see the fake news and a lot of the misinformation. I was saying that for months prior to this whole thing breaking out. We say it in English, I mean in Creole, "Femakak." So it's kind of like people were being monkeyed around. Uh, for those who know, my name is Max Olivier Carré. Carré means square. I give it to you straight up. Now, you may not like it. Some people will like it because they want to get the absolute truth, not my truth, just the truth. Um, and a lot of times, people imagine when they're having to do all these things. How can we be in a country that is as big as here, where we're not able to determine whether this thing is airborne or is it droplets? Which one is it? Understanding the nature of a virus, the fact we call it virus, and we're saying these type of things. So it shows the lack of preparedness. And there are people, good people, who suffered as a result of that. When people are in a state of confusion, the things that ought to be done to protect yourself or oneself is missing. That's why when people were going around buying a bunch of Lysol, I'm like, guys, why are you protecting your outside? You're supposed to protect your inside because you can't spray that Lysol into your mouth. Again, I repeat, you cannot do that. Please do not do that.
Not really.
You never know, man. It, we're not going political, but you never know. There are people that may have the wrong idea. There are people that will have the
Well,
wrong idea.
it makes me wanna think a little deeper. As you were saying, we could not figure out if he was airborne, and of course, they were saying there are different type of the COVID-19, whether you could contracted by somebody coughing, that it was by the touch of surfaces. They're telling people not to do blanching when they purchase their food at the supermarket. They say it's sexually transmitted. Then we come to the point where they talk about the vaccine, and they said, well, the first person died from having the vaccine, and the vaccine is not. They're having clinical trials, and we're not sure. And that makes me think about AIDS
Of course.
and how the government, they cannot still find a cure for it, and I mean, less people are dying, but is this pandemic is going to turn into an AIDS situation?
Well,
No,
well,
that would be political.
so no, it's great that you're asking that question. Remember, I said in any crisis there is opportunity, and that's the word even in Chinese. So when they talk about crisis or danger, it's basically there's an opportunity, dangerous opportunity. That's the way it's written, the way they do that. So when you're thinking about, there are companies, people who are in the stock market. Again, these are people that's already telling you, with a little bit of money, you could make up to 1.4 million, feeding into our greed, because you will be investing in some biotech company that's working on a cure, on a vaccine, and it's going to come out. People of the book knows that not to take that. But there are people that will be forced. There are people who do not have enough backbone or spine or really knowledge that will go and take that. Now, for most people that do not know, when you take a vaccine, what you're doing, the you're taking the disease and injecting it into your body. And the idea behind it is that it's going to be on a control matter. That's the idea behind it, where they'll tell you there's a percentage that it won't hurt you. But again, what they're saying, a percentage. Um, I could go and explain to you what's typically in a vaccine, but there's something you mentioned about, AIDS and all that good stuff. A lot of people don't understand the money that's behind those things, the dollar figure that's around those things, even if it doesn't come out of your pocket. The very fact the government had to pay for it, it came out of all our pockets who are taxpayers. Most people do not understand how it's done. So again, I can get into the politics of it. I can really go, because when you follow the money, you'll see the nonsense. When you follow the money, you will see the corruption. And at the end of the day, guess what? Most people, when there's that much death, guess what? Most people rather shut their mouth and do what it needs to be done. So let's look at it this way. They had an opportunity to take care of AIDS, but they looked at it this way. Is it more profitable to take care of it with that people will still be loose, do it because they know there's a cure? Or do we manage it and the people having to take something and then still get the opportunity to spread it? And we know the type of people who likely would actually spread it. Is it more opportunity to one shot $300? Let me give you an example. A pill, $300 and it's done. Or do I give you a pill for the rest of your life where I will be controlling your reproduction system? Because there are certain type of people, certain race, they reproduce more than others. And by nature of the amount of people that exist, you automatically in size become a majority instead of minority. We could politicize this as much as we want, but that's what happens actually. So let's go back to vaccine. Go ahead.
Mhm.
Well, I was
Yeah,
gonna
I was
say.
thinking. So the fact of the
Mhm.
fact of the matter is, if we don't want to look at it from a political point of view, we could look at it from a leadership point of view.
Mhm.
Because when we look at countries that they call third world countries, when we look at the Caribbean islands, where maybe we lack a healthcare system, or maybe we lack money, but people are not dying as much
Well, also,
now.
yeah. Here's the thing. Here's the funny thing with this. Again, and I will say it because a lot of people who listens to this show, who listens to radio through this channel, through this dial, they know what's up. They know what time it is. Again, a lot of the death, the massive death, is representing most of the time by the people who are already having immune issue. The other type who were actually, or who we thought were healthy, who we know that are healthy, is the whole fear tactic that really got the best of them. And I usually say que lastima. That's a shame. That's a shame because we're not reinforced
And the,
with the right information.
yeah. And the fact of my matter is that the information that we were talking about earlier is accessible, and everything that we say about people boosting their immune system is something that we should do prior to having a pandemic. And COVID-19 has been around. The COVID has been around. COVID-19 is now here. Next year is going to be COVID-20. So the coronavirus is a form of virus that's going to come and go. Now, the question that I really want my audience to really focus on, whether they find a vaccine or not, for us in America, or underinsured or not insured, what difference would it have made to us? Meaning, if it's not a pandemic and you catch the coronavirus and you were to go to the hospital, or if you can go to the hospital, what kind of care would you be getting? Now they say, well, because I remember in the first phase they were saying, if you have the symptoms, we'll test you. But some people didn't have the symptoms and they didn't get tested.
Exactly.
So now, if you don't have insurance and you don't have the symptoms, or if you have insurance and do have the symptoms, what kind of care would you be getting? And in that sense, I think it's something that is very important as a chamber, as a community, that we should ask that question. How we thinking about our health? And I remember many years ago, one of the theme that we had was your health. And oftentimes, when people have a small business, when people are contractors, when people are independent contractors or entrepreneurs, or they have small business, they're not actually thinking about how they could get um, a um, health plan for themselves. And that is the question of the day, really.
Well,
How are you taking care of yourself? Are you taking care of your employees in general?
and I'm so happy you mentioning that, because at the end of the day, it really has an impact on business. Now, get this. Again, my sources, as I mentioned to you, we're expecting something to come towards the end of the year. It did not come. It came a lot earlier than a lot of people anticipated. Imagine the amount of things that are being moved as a result of this, the shifting that's happening, the shifting with all the I mean, we the how can I say it, we always have like events, live events where people attend classes. Now all these things having to be done on Zoom or different models, there's a big impact. So let's go with the insurance, as you were mentioning. When you think about it, there's a big shift that's happening. Anytime that there is catastrophe, there has new products and new services must arise to meet up with those.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the funny part is that a lot of people do not know the level of organization that the United States has. When they say there's no money, there's just no money for that thing, but there's always money in reserve for emergency issues and this and that. So it is a wealthy country. It's just most of the time people or the leaders may not want to really disperse or create um, um, how can I say it? The idea that your government is going to take care of everything for you. They want to give you the opportunity to take care of yourself. Now, what I will say to all my people who are listening, please do not put your hope on anybody but your creator. And this is something you can have that reference to Psalm 118, verse 8. It's considered like the middle of the Bible for those who do read that sacred book. And if you don't, check it out. You'll see what it says. Do not put your hope on princes, on the authority. You want to put, yeah, exactly. You want to put your hope literally in our Creator. Now, our Creator, from Genesis 1:29, it says, "Behold, I have given you every herb bearing seed. For you, it will be meat." So when we have that, that was the very first thing that we were offered. We were given as a gift. So imagine that we go back to Eden and really taking care of ourselves that way. So we won't have to worry about all the shenanigans about insurance, non-insurance, and disease, no disease, and all that stuff. At the end of the day, we have an opportunity to take care of ourselves. But the first thing is, do not panic. Because when you get into panic, it's a bad spirit. The spirit of panic, the spirit of chaos. The minute you go there where you panic, you will not be able to think clearly. And that's why you want to really stand on the word of our Creator, because that's what's going to allow you to really be led to the right individual to lead you into that, from that darkness into the light. So that's one of my message for people who are really listening at this moment.
Thank you so much, Max, for covering the health part. And now we're going to take another quick break before we move forward with your role as a sales director, because now more than ever, besides the healthcare issues that we are dealing with on a daily basis, people understand that you need to have a sales force. You cannot be the accountant, the marketer, the salesperson, the cook, and everything else. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back.
Awesome. Okay, so we are in a quick break. As you know, we're doing this. First of all, there's a show that's going on, and also we have our YouTube that's going on, and that's the part that's
And
very
we
good.
are back with Max talking about his new role with the chamber as a sales director. And I must tell you, being a sales director is not only because you're trying to create a sales team, but that has more to do with personal development. Max, besides natural health, I think you've been almost as many years doing those studies, taking those classes, being a life coach, and you usually don't refer to yourself as a life coach, but life you sell and you coach. So
Yes.
tell us a little about your plans and how you want to empower people to do more for themselves, to do more with themselves.
Well, one of the things that I'm so happy you mentioned, a lot of entrepreneurs are dealing with lack of clarity, lack of focus, and and a lot of times people want to accuse like literally the outer world of what's really going, and really as an entrepreneur, it's the inner game. Is how much you're stable internally, personal development, how you've really mastered your core. And this is what mastery comes in. A lot of times people are reactive, like literally around this time. When you think about it, there are people who would have just closed shop because of COVID and say that there's really nothing I can do. But when a person it really attracts themselves to the whole mindset of being a renegade millionaire, or a group of people that's not following the mass, really giving yourself the opportunity to think differently and going against the flow, that makes a difference. So as sales director, what I really like is the fact that we've implemented a lot of different things to really reach out to the people, because when there is crisis like that, like a pandemic like that, the most we want to do is keep in touch with our prospects, our people who basically who've done business with us, who are planning on doing business with us. It's not typically the time
A
to
database.
exactly the database, the list is very important. So in everything, the list is important, the message and the media. So what we've been doing is that what message we've been doing, we've been what we call a messenger of goodwill. Keeping them informed, letting them know what to do, things they can do at home, how to keep staying safe, the way to wash your hands, the bad habits that most a lot of people really have. Imagine, why did it take a pandemic for people to start washing like those subways in New York? Why it took like that? It didn't have to be
So
that
that's
way.
basic.
Basic stuff, right? You're like, so hold on, all this time you weren't washing them, now we gotta wash them. It really hits you to the core. People take certain things for granted. I mean, I've been in Europe, I've been in New York. Their subway system tends to seem the same way. A lot of times people really they have a closed eyes, a blind eye on these type of things. And this is the time where even a person that's planning on being in business, get your licenses and start bidding for cleaning contracts with the government. Get yourself going. There are people that really knows how to clean. And when we say clean, it's not sweeping the thing under the rug and call it clean. I'm talking about really clean. So people who are listening right now, have that light bulb strike up. And that's when I realized that when there is tragedy, this is when the masters they
There
really
is
rise up.
opportunity.
Yeah, that's when the masters they rise up. And I look at it this way: this is something for a time like this, where our creator has given us the opportunity to rise up to the challenge, to really assist our people, to really create, open up, having the clarity that it takes, the mental focus to really rise up. And certain people, they just need somebody to walk them through that. And what I say to people: abide into the vine, which is our creator. He will lead you to the people that can actually get you to that promised land. Definitely. I sound like a preacher tonight. Amen.
No, no, no. You actually don't. And oftentimes I speak to people who tell me, well, I'm not a salesperson and I don't like to sell. And I guess my experience with you when we go to different seminars and we go to different classes to help us grow as a person and also as a business, it helps me understand that it's really not about sell. It's sometimes about sharing what you know, sharing what had what experience or what had helped you. Um, they often say that if you go to a great restaurant, when you get home, you call your friends and you tell them how spectacular it is, how awesome the food was.
Yes.
And I think when it comes to selling or when it comes to talking to people about certain products, it's really about knowing the products. And earlier you say it's really about knowing yourself. So if somebody is balanced enough and they know what they're good at and they know what makes them happy, it's easier for them to sell with other people. Are you having any upcoming class? I know that we have set up reluctantly a Zoom for the chamber because I am not a TV person. I am more of a radio person,
Yes.
more comfortable behind the microphone. But we have to move with time. So I had I had to be sold on the fact that now everybody's doing Zoom. You just have to do your Zoom.
Oh yeah.
And so I had to be sold that product. So you would have some Zoom classes available. So I definitely would like for you to share with the audience what you're gonna do soon and how they could contact you.
Definitely. So on the health part, we're having Zoom on digestive disorder, the different things that will assist your digestion. A lot of times people do not understand that their immune system starts in the gut. Okay, the small intestine. This is the things, the part, the
It's like
floor.
with diseases.
Exactly. So which is very important to really take care of the gut. Now, when we're talking about in personal development, yes, we have upcoming classes really to have people be how can I say that, to really be anchored about who they are and what they're out to create. You see, a lot of times people are lacking vision. So if there's no vision, there's no clarity, and if there's no clarity, there's no focus. And if there's no focus, the person can't go absolutely nowhere. And that's one of the reasons we want to make sure to have the people be anchored with exactly who they are, where they're going, and and it's important to know where you are first before you can really look at where you're going. So we can assist people in creating that vision and creating something for themselves. We've coached many people, and we have a lot of people who are getting success, and having the high accountability, because everything about coaching is accountability. That's why, like you said, I don't there's so many people that call themselves life coaching. The proof is in the pudding. When you're having people that's getting results, this is what I'm talking about: coaching results.
Yeah. And we know several people. We know of an entrepreneur who's into technology, another one into law. They have testified that the coaching that they got from you had put them on a different level where their business is booming and they have to go and hire more people. But the coaching comes from them being coachable.
Oh yeah. Well, you see, most people, including myself at one time, coaching, nobody wants that really, until you see that you hitting your face over and over. A lot of times people have their own way of doing things, which is usually the long way. And people who are not investing in their transformation, the biggest investment, it kills me when you've seen people that's investing into material stuff that's gonna rot, okay, instead of investing within themselves. Because think about it, nobody can take what you've put into your mind. Now, a lot of times people, they worship traditional education. Traditional education has been usually put there for you to actually go work for somebody. You want to get extra education, that one that you're not going to receive like a piece of paper that said you had this and that, the one that's really going to make a difference for you, to allow you to really transform lives. And that's the inner game we're talking about. It's an
And
inside job.
and you said it earlier, as you said people are not investing into themselves, and it's the same way. So if people are investing into certain things and not investing into themselves, I would compare it to earlier when we were talking about people doing maintenance in their car that costs more than them wanting to eat properly or getting themselves the right minerals, antioxidants, and vitamins for them to have a great immune system. And I think this is really the time where people need to reassess what is really important and what is really valuable. I think God created money, and when you work and you earn your money, it's a beautiful thing, and everybody should love money. But we cannot put money in front of people. And as much money as a millionaire have right now, it's graduation time. Their children cannot walk for at their graduation, just like the child of somebody who had worked very hard, 2, 3 jobs to get their children to graduate as well. So at the end of the day, we need to put value where value is.
Definitely. And that's what most people don't really look at. And the beauty about all this, and when we go back into the whole sales force, um, a lot of times people who are worrying and complaining, when the person get into the life of complaining, really be reactive to what's going on around them as opposed to being proactive, then we're getting into the whole mindset of being a victim. While I couldn't do this because that happened, I couldn't do this because this and that happened. And the part that's about that, the people who actually want to be proactive, they get to see something else that the other people who are complaining are not seeing. And that's where the opportunity, exactly, they find a way. They always say that where there's a will there's a way. And I'm looking at one of my friends that own a pizza shop. You know what this guy did? He quickly bought like those big bags that is very secure. And because he had a list, he kept in contact with that. This is for all my restaurant folks who are not doing what they need to do to have the people's information. They come and eat. They've been eating there for 20 years, but you don't even know where they live. And when they're sick, you cannot reach out to them. That should be what we call your alarm bell. Somebody that always come, yeah, that always come at
I'm
the
sorry
same time to eat.
I need to add on to that. For years, we have fought with many people who were in the restaurant or hospitality business, where we told them you need to be able to accept credit cards.
Yes.
And they were so focused on like, oh my God, I had a bad experience. Oh my God, I didn't like it.
Yes.
But not realizing the benefit that came with having the merchant account. You had phone numbers.
Yes.
And you had email addresses.
Yes.
For everybody who purchased. And now in times like that, this is a time that you reach out. I have somebody who does hair, and she decided to give people free tips on how online using the Zoom, or how to maintain their beauty while they're at home. And the reason why they were able to do that is because they were in the people's business. They had a list. They had information. They knew how to reach those people.
Oh yeah,
it's very important.
Oh yeah, that's the biggest part, because these are the times where people, if they're not having people reaching out to them, they feel alone. And imagine if those people have the poison tube. I didn't say the TV, the poison tube on those poison stuff, which is the things that keeps on repeating the same message over and over, that is programming people to feel bad about themselves, to feel sorry about themselves, to feel fear, and knowing that these individuals, again, they are going to be affected. They are going to be affected in a major way. These are individuals that's going to have so much fear that they may even starve because they're afraid to even call somebody else to say, hey, I don't have anything. I'm afraid of going out. And this is why people who have faith, people who are really caring, reach out, take your phone, call another. Don't wait till you get the call. Call. And when you do that, it makes a world of difference, because we're in this together. and we shall overcome it together. And there's one thing you said back when you were talking about COVID-19. You know, a lot of people didn't understand why they say COVID-19. Corona was around, and there was different strands. Though this one that was created, it was created to give you that biggest blow, because when people are having other issues relating to immune, what it does, it really hits and it kills the person's opportunity to really make a difference. So when you having issues like that, what kills most people is that I remember there's a lady, her immune system, she was very well. Her immune system went solo because she's thinking it's the end of the world. We're gonna get chipped. There's so many things, and Jesus coming back soon, which we preach that, we talk about that, but people, those people were like the doomsday people. Those doomsday folks, they don't know what they did to their own listeners. You know, people use that to their advantage for people to convert and whatever the case is. I mean, I received a call from a friend of mine, called me, said, I apologize. You know, I'm so sorry for all the stuff I've done to you. I'm like, yeah, don't worry about it. I said, 8 years ago, 9 years ago, you called me about the same thing because you thought it was the end of the world. I said, you're forgiven. I don't hold anything from you. But it shows you it's the funny part of it, the level when you're looking at that, the doomsday thing. But there are some people who have no backbone. They're going to perish because their immune system, especially if they have issues like cancer and different things, their immune system is going to drain all the way down because they will see this is a world with no hope. I've have people that's already packing to go to a third world country or to go back home because they say, man, me not let them kill me up in here.
Oh, Max, you forgot to give us your phone number, but before you do so, we're going to remind the folks that the Haitian American Chamber of Commerce is celebrating 8 years of services, 8 years of free workshops, 8 years of community and networking events, and now we're going to gear up to a different phase, which is the technical phase of it. And we know that people should invest in themselves because this week they just announced that the unemployment record soared to 14.7%, which means 20.5 millions of Americans have lost their jobs.
Wow.
You are listening to the Global Business Talk Show. There's a possibility for you to find your niche. We had the opportunity to speak to Ms. Shirley Oxus, who talked to you about working from home. Now you have Max Scally, who's able to coach you, who's able to help you become more aware of who you are by then making you maybe the best salesperson, because life is sell, you know. When I talk to you, I'm selling myself.
Yes.
When the baby is trying to tell you, Mommy, I'm hungry, you know, screaming and crying, it's part of the sale process. It's supply and demand. Max, could you please give us your phone number and happy Haitian Heritage Month?
Thank you. Happy Haitian Heritage Month to you too. And of course, my number is 305-407-9227. 305-407-9227. You can reach out to me whether you need information about health or wealth. I'm here for both. Thank God.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Be
TJ.
blessed, stay safe, and thank you for being with us this morning.
Awesome. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right, all you folks, I am so glad that you were able to actually listen to all this. What I've been able to do is really reach out to people so that we can make a difference. Again, for those who do not know the things we were sharing, this is not about the doomsday part. We just wanted you to know the issues relating to that. So please reach out to me, 305-407-9227, 305-407-9227, and I'm definitely gonna keep in touch with you. Bye guy. All right. Bye guy.